Leaf fans desperately want to believe these playoffs are going to be different, but they've been burned before. That makes tonight's game 2 critical. Mark Masters has been with the team suffering through too many disappointments to count. Mark, it's been more than 20 years since the Leafs took a 2-0 lead in the series. Walk us through the two scenarios. What happens if they lose tonight, and what happens if they win?
Listen, Gino, it's really hard to answer that question because you have to see what happens in the game, how it plays out, because that will certainly influence how you feel. But if they do win and they play well, you mentioned it, it's been since 2002, that first-round series against the Islanders, since the Leafs led a series 2-0. So that would certainly go a long way to making everyone around here feel like, yes, this is truly going to be different. If they lose the game, I mean, I think a lot of folks expected it to be a tough series, tough to get through the Senators. They're a playoff team. They deserve their spot here, and you'd have to see exactly how it played out. I do find it interesting, though, that the Senators lost 6-2 in the first game, but it's actually been the Leafs who have been talking the most the last couple days about needing to change and needing to improve, and they did not love their 5-on-5 game, and they can forecheck better, and they can do a better job against the Stützle line, letting them kind of come through the neutral zone with too much speed in the first game. So, you know, the defense, Morgan Riley says, wants to break out the puck better. So it's actually funny, Gino, it's the Leafs who have been talking the most about wanting to improve after that Game 1 game, even though it was a lopsided win for them.
All right, let me follow up on that. The Leafs were great with the man advantage, but not that impressive 5-on-5. What, if anything, was Berube willing to say about the changes that he wants to make to improve their even strength play?
Well, I think the first thing is they got a flush Game 1, and that's happened. It's, you know, Berube talking today about it being a very business-like approach. You just throw things out. He liked the vibe at practice yesterday. The guys have moved on. They're not getting caught up in that big Game 1 win. And as I mentioned previously, they feel like they can do a better job on the forecheck and gaining offensive zone time. Berube mentioned the second line in particular, John Tavares' group. They can do a better job with that. They put Pontus Holmberg in that spot on the left wing instead of Max Domi. That was a change that was made midway through Game 1 that will likely continue to start Game 2 here. They like how Holmberg protects the puck down low. So they're hoping to get some more offensive zone time in general and from that line in particular. And yeah, breaking the puck out and just in general, playing more in Ottawa's half of the ice at 5-on-5.
If Leaf fans are looking for a reason why this year could be different, a huge reason for that could be Anthony Stolarz. He only gave up 2 in the opener, a win in his first career playoff start. Stolarz didn't just outduel Linus Ullmark in Game 1. He had the best save percentage in the entire league the entire season. Ullmark was 9th. When was the last time, Mark, in your recollection, that the Leafs had the decided edge in net in a playoff series?
I can't remember it. I mean, they're usually going up against guys like Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky, even Jeremy Swayman last year. It felt like Boston had the edge. The one game Ullmark started last year in that series, the Leafs won that game. So it's been a while since the Leafs probably went into a series kind of feeling like this about the goaltending. Anthony Stolarz back on the ice here this morning after getting a rest day at practice yesterday, so he's fine. If there's any concern at all about his status, he is going to start Game 2. He's fine. He looked good this morning. Linus Ullmark, kind of a bit of a strange vibe around him. You know, obviously goalies don't really talk to the media on game days, but he was in the room. I could hear kind of commotion over my shoulder. I guess he was talking about how he felt like the media was blocking Matthew Highmore's stall, and that Highmore should be in there. You know, not necessarily. He wasn't like fired up too much, but he was just commenting on that. So it's interesting that's what he was. You know, he didn't seem too preoccupied with Game 1. Let's just say that. But interesting that he's in there, kind of mixing it up. You know, did not seem too worried about the game. More worried about the media getting up in his space or in the space of his teammates. So interesting vibe. Fascinating goaltending matchup in this series, Gino.
Yeah, I'm watching to see the way this played out. It's going to be fun. Look, the Leafs had 6 chances on the power play last game, Mark. They scored on 3 of them. The Sens only had 2 power plays. Now, apart from more discipline and trying to work the refs the way we know he did, what other adjustments are you expecting from Travis Green?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, he hasn't spoken much about adjustments. He expects his team not to be as nervous to start the game tonight. That's what he said today. Obviously, they had a lot of guys making their playoff debuts. It looks like Nick Cousins is going to come into the lineup for the Senators. He's a Stanley Cup champion, so maybe that helps even more in terms of calming things down. Ridley Gregg not on the ice this morning. Nick Jensen not on the ice this morning, but apparently they're both available tonight, so that was interesting. But they liked a lot about their 5-on-5 game. Ottawa did. Travis Green kind of wants them to continue. I'm sure there's little adjustments, little things they can do differently, but for the most part, the Ottawa Senators coach liked a lot about the process in Game 1. Obviously, they got to do a better job against the Leafs power play should they get back on the man advantage tonight. The Leafs felt like they exploited something off of face-offs in that first game. 3 power play goals, all coming within 10 seconds of the face-off. So I'm sure Ottawa will be looking at that, and their penalty kill will look to do a much better job against the Leafs power play.
Looking back at the Leafs offense in Game 1, 3 goals from the core 4. Nyes, who's on the top line, also scored. The other 2 goals came from the blue line. So nothing from depth forwards. Max Domi was demoted. Any other changes from the Leafs?
No, I mentioned Holmberg on that second line with John Tavares and William Nylander. Domi now in the middle of that third line. Bobby McMahon, Nick Robertson. Berube kind of talking about McMahon, who's kind of mired in a 12-game goalless drought right now. Likes that he's getting shot attempts, but sometimes he doesn't think the attempts are coming at the right time, right? He's got to get more to the inside. Too many attempts from too far out. Get to the inside, get to the blue paint. That's where Bobby McMahon, he's a power forward. He can do more damage. They like that Scott Laughton line in the first game, so, kind of status quo there. But the middle 6 is really kind of the question mark for this team. And I'll be, if you're Ottawa, you got to find a way to try and exploit that, if they can. Again, I mentioned the Tavares line too much time in their own zone in the first game. Max Domi now the third line center with McMahon and Robertson. That line should be offensively dangerous, but you wonder if they'll give up anything on the other end. So if you're the Ottawa Senators, you're still looking at that Leafs middle 6 and saying, is it gettable here? Can we win that battle and maybe feeling good about it?
A lighter moment at the press availability. A lot of fire in game number 1. 56 minutes and penalties handed out. I hear Craig Berube was pretty impressed by his first taste of the playoff version of the Battle of Ontario.
Yeah, he's from Alberta, Calahoo, and he's used to the Battle of Alberta. He said there's a lot of hatred in the Battle of Ontario, and he likes it. You can understand why. A guy who's 7th overall in NHL penalty minutes. So, yeah, Craig Berube liking the Battle of Ontario so far, but why wouldn't he? His team's up 1-0, right, Gino?
Hey, Mark, I appreciate you battling through all the sound there. It's going to get a lot louder tonight, but in a much more fun way.
I don't know what's going on, Gino. It's under construction here. They're doing, I guess, rehearsals. It is loud, but hey, they're going to bring the cheers. That's the rally towel tonight. Bring the cheers. There's another rally towel that says "Bring the hype," so I can break that news for you here. But it's already pretty loud in this building.
All right, Mark, enjoy the game, my friend. We'll talk afterwards.